Hello folks, shintigercurl here, that dude in the straw hat, bringing you yet another awesome video. It is currently almost 5 a.m. If you're wondering why I'm recording so early, I decided to write down my thoughts before I began my day. Now, a lot of you on Facebook who I've tagged in my video, in my status line, know that there's that to be wary, because there was a lot of news going around. Dave Metzger, as much stock as I put into his stuff, he was saying something big was going to happen this week to keep an eye on things, and he was right for the most part. Well, a few hours ago, Spike TV executives met with President of TNA, Dixie Carter, in an emergency meeting. No one knows what that meeting was about, and a lot of people were wondering what was going on. It was an emergency meeting, after all, called at such short notice. So it was recent, but now it's been confirmed by both TMZ and WrestleZone.com. In the breaking news, TNA, Spike TV has opted not renew TNA's contract for a television deal. Essentially, in terms that you can understand, if TNA doesn't find a home for their company in the next two or so months, their contract comes up in October, then TNA is dead. We knew this was coming. Part of me is not surprised. Part of me could see this coming. We all could see this coming, really. What to say? Everyone knew this was going to eventually happen one day, but no one knows exactly how to feel. Some were happy that TNA is finally being put out of its misery. Others are sad that we're losing yet another great company. Some just don't give a fuck. Not that I blame them, but it's too soon for me to say that TNA is dead. And they still have time to find another TV deal, but the pickings are going to be slim. No one wants to really compete with WWE at this point, even though WWE is suffering a good deal. They've lost a lot of money, and they had to make a lot of cutbacks. But I can say that with certainty that what eventually killed TNA wasn't anything that they currently did. It was, I always trace it back to one thing, one moment that gave TNA the cancer that is apparently going to kill it right now. And that's Hogan and Bischoff. This was a mistake. As much as I like Hogan and Bischoff, they did not need to be in TNA. TNA had a decent thing going. They brought a pretty decent product, even though their business practices and how they treated their talent were abysmal. Just look at Daphne and Conan for prime examples of that. They still produced a unique product that was clearly their own. And then Dixie Carter, in her infinite wisdom, decided to bring in Hogan and Bischoff, who brought in pretty much everyone you didn't want in a company. I'm looking at you, Bubba the Love Sponge. But anyway, Hogan and Bischoff, she pretty much gave them the range to run the company however they wanted, and that pretty much meant getting rid of the six-sided ring, which was the symbol of TNA, which was the symbol of TNA. It gave it character. I'm not saying the four-sided ring is better than the six-sided ring. It's just their trademark. It's how they rolled. It's just what they do. When you see six-sided ring, you think of TNA, and they got rid of that. I remember that night because I was very pissed off at what Bischoff and Hogan had to say. Hogan said, and I quote, that real wrestling takes place inside a four-sided ring. Where have you been, Hogan? just a lot of things that contributed to it. The whole Day storyline soured a lot of fans. The Jeff Hardy thing at Victory Road '06, it just kept going downhill from there. And a lot of the homegrown talent really got the shaft as they kept bringing in more of these old WCW and ECW and WWE cast-offs that never made it in the big times. Not saying all of WWE's cast-offs were bad. I mean, there were some that were not really given a chance in the WWE who were let go for a certain amount of reasons. D'Angelo De Niro being one of them. Mr. Kennedy being another. He has excelled in TNA. And this was another death knell of this was AJ Styles, him leaving. Now, when the man who basically built TNA, he was the face of the company for 10 years. He was there at the beginning. He has held every championship that the company had. He was a Grand Slam. He was the first Grand Slam champion that TNA had. He was their most consistent and best wrestler, and he was gone. That just didn't feel right. Now, I watched TNA. I still watch TNA, but mostly I just don't care because they keep doing a lot of things that I just don't care about anymore, and that's a shame. But they were getting an upswing right now with the things they were doing. I mean, bringing MVP in was a good boon, as well as signing probably the best tag team in the world right now, the American Wolves, Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards. That was a good thing. They kept bringing in more foreign stars like Sonata and Tiger Mask. I love Tiger Mask. And they kept giving, and they were giving a little bit more focus to their X division. The Knockouts were doing surprisingly well because they had a better roster. And they had consistently better matches than the WWE Divas have. Which is, anyway, yeah, I'm saying this. The Knockouts are better than the Divas. That's including AJ and Paige at this point. And a lot of the guys that we thought were past their prime actually excelled in TNA. Bubba Ray Dudley. Who would have thought that Bubba Ray Dudley would be a main event wrestler, a main event caliber wrestler, and a magnificent heel to boot? I never would have saw it, but yeah. But the thing that I just don't care for at the moment would be Bobby Lashley as World Heavyweight Champion. Bobby Lashley is not intimidating to say the least. I call him a poor man's Brock Lesnar. He is Black Lesnar. He's just not intimidating to say the least. That's why MVP talks for him. That's why you hardly ever see Bobby Lashley speak, because his voice is so soft-spoken and mild-mannered that if you saw this guy walking down the street and he said he's going to kick your ass, you'd probably laugh at him. I mean, he's nothing about him. He's impressive. Don't get me wrong. He is an impressive physical specimen. It's just that he's not intimidating. I mean, when you look at Brock Lesnar, you see this massive mountain of a man who looks like he eats 5 porterhouse steaks as a light snack, who lives in the woods with his wife Sable, who hunts and traps his own food. You see this big, beefy dude with a look that says, "I'm gonna kill you." And he has perhaps the best manager of the current generation in Paul Heyman. Did you see that promo he had last week? That was a master class in how to cut a promo, how to push someone. That's why Brock Lesnar is so awesome. Bobby Lashley is not that to me. I just don't buy him as World Heavyweight Champion. I just see him as a goon, as MVP's goon. I would have preferred MVP as World Champion because he can wrestle, and he spits so good on the mic. But now, enough of that. Now the bigger question comes in: what happens? A lot of fans think that Vince should just do what he did with WCW and ECW and just buy them out. because regardless of what you think of TNA now, back years and years ago, before Hogan and Bischoff and Dixie got their hands on it, TNA were putting out some magnificent matches. I mean, if I were Vince, I'd buy that simply for that library. That TNA has probably the biggest library of high-quality 5-star matches out of any of the independent companies outside the WWE, and I hope they do. There are a lot of great matches that that they should have access to, like Triple X versus America's Most Wanted in that steel cage match. The second, Petey Williams, Chris Sabin, and AJ Styles in the second Ultimate X match ever. AJ Styles, Chris Daniels, and Samoa Joe for the X Division title. Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle. That whole trilogy of matches is worth buying, culminating in that magnificent steel cage match. You can't... Vince, do yourself a favor. Buy them. Get this library. I want to see this shit on the network. A lot of other people think that Shane McMahon might be interested, but as far as I know, Shane McMahon has absolutely no interest in professional wrestling, and there's nothing to suggest that he wants to get back into it, or even has the money to buy or promote TNA. It would be good because Shane knows the business. Miss you, Shane, but yeah. But the bigger question is, what are the talent gonna do? And I'm not talking about those little punks. I'm not talking about the talent that I could give two shits about, like the Bromance or Abyss or Rob Terry or Doc or the Menagerie or none of that stuff. I'm talking about the genuine badass talents like the greatest man who ever lived, Austin Aries, the It Factor, Bobby Roode, James Storm, the Cowboy. Who else? Mr. Anderson. He has really come up, and I would really love to see him back in WWE to really give it another shot. Personally, I would love to see Samoa Joe in WWE. If he slims down and gets back to his normal competitive weight, he could run roughshod in the WWE if they package it right. But yeah, a lot of wrestlers are going to need to find homes. Some of them might go to New Japan. Others might return to their roots back in ROH. But yeah, TNA is currently on life support. It has 2 months at the very most to find a home, to find a network that's willing to carry them. But odds are, I'm not holding my breath. This really could be the end of TNA. And so, my friends, that's all I have to say. So, like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. And hopefully I can bring you some more of my thoughts and opinions on pro wrestling. And those of you who are watching this, make sure to check out the Absolution Network at absolutionnetwork.com, run by my man, Matt Sleinhart. What's up, Matt, man? So, that's all I have to say. TNA, it was nice knowing you when you did. Enjoyed these last 2 months on Spike TV, and hopefully you can show us something that the longtime fans can actually enjoy. Give yourself a nice send off to all the fans who stuck with you through thick and thin, through Planet Jarrett, through the Aces and Eights, through Immortal, through Team Canada. Through all of it. Show us what you can do in these last 2 months. So, until next time, this is shintigercurl, that dude in the straw hat, saying good night, or good morning in this case, and wrestle on.